All right, let's call this meeting to order for, what is this, Tuesday, May the 12th. Rise if you're able for O Canada, please. All right, I should have started by saying that the mayor sends his regrets tonight, hence I'm in this chair. He's under the weather, and hopefully he'll make it back in time for the next one. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? All right, confirmation of minutes for April 28th. Moved by Councillor Woodham, seconded by Councillor Ottens, that the minutes of the Township of Mapleton Council meeting held on April 28th, 2026 be confirmed as circulated in the agenda. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is carried. Do I do this or do you do this?
I'll do it for you.
All right, skipping right on down to reports and updates from staff, the building department. Report moved by Councillor Otten, seconded by Councillor Woodham. The council received building department report BD 2026-07 regarding permit activity for the month of April. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Another very strong month for the building department. We issued nearly double the amount of permits that we typically would in the month of April, bringing in over $108,000. That's the strongest April in the history of the building department, so we're quite thrilled with it. And we created 7 new dwelling units, added some commercial, industrial, and continuing on more farms. Lots of construction on farms. Thank you if there's any questions.
Any comments or questions from council? No. All those in favor of receiving this report? It's carried. Clerk's department. We have Drayton Mapleton Ag Society request for financial support. Moved by Councillor Woodham, seconded by Councillor Ottens. The council support the Drayton Mapleton Agricultural Society towards their Hall Mobility Lift project with an allocation of $550, and further that the funds be allocated from the 2026 Municipal Grants Program budget. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, sir. As everybody knows, the original request was for the forgiveness of $550 in fees, which we can't do, but the CFO has come up with the idea of coming from the Municipal Grants Fund.
Any comments, questions from council? Councilor Ottens?
Yes, through you, Mayor Pro Tem. If the grant program applicants that are currently out come in and then they haven't, that their projects are completed and they haven't needed to use all the amounts that they've used, say there's an extra couple thousand in the account after that, would the Ag Society be able to apply for that as well, or is it a one-and-done sort of thing per year? Because if we give them this, then they would not have access to, say, an extra $2,000 that might be kicking around from other ones. So I wondered, is it better for them to wait and see when the other projects are finished, or do this up front?
Mr. Kelly?
Sure, through you, Chair Martin. Yeah, as the municipal grants program is written and the policy's written, which was adopted by this council, people are eligible to apply for the grant program one time per year. So given the fact that the Ag Society actually did apply for the grant program in intake 1 under a different project to support the bleachers and something, you would know. And we're successful. They got, I think, $1,370 through that one. They wouldn't be applying again through the municipal grants program. Just there isn't really a source of funding in place for this. The purpose of that in the report is that that's where this would be charged against. It's not technically a grant under that program, but there will be, as Councillor Reid mentioned in the last meeting, we already do know of one of the initiatives that is going to come in under budget. There will be available dollars there from a net dollar standpoint, but again, it'd be probably not something we want to get into the practice too of opening up the grant program without taking intake from the whole community to divvy out surplus funds.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Thanks for putting this report together. I think we were all interested to see exactly what the forgiveness would look like. So that's perfect. If there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor of this report? That's carried. And we'll loop back with them. Someone will loop back with the Ag Society. Okay, perfect, thank you. Moving on to the Finance Department, 2025 year-end surplus deficit summary that Mr. Kelly was putting together for us. Financial Report 2026-20 that Council received for information report FIN 2026-20 regarding the year-end surplus deficit from the fiscal year 2025.
Thank you once again, Chair Martin. Yeah, as noted, this report was put together through a request at our last meeting from Council. Helps to provide more transparency on the true cash surplus from 2025 versus the surplus that's shown in the audited financial statements. So as the report outlines, statements are built in accordance with public sector accounting standards. They come out showing a significant surplus of $6.5 million for last year. The majority of that surplus is represented by infrastructure that was put into service either through Public Works or Parks and Recreation or other areas. A small portion of it is a cash surplus. So this report, which I noted at the last meeting, is something that we could pull together on an annual basis. I think helps to display that in a manner that's more understandable for both council and for the public. So as noted at that meeting, the cash surplus from last year from all operating departments when you bring it together was just under $200,000. I had said it did come in at $174,000 and change. We budget annually as part of the budget to transfer just under $40,000 to our tax stabilization reserve, which was established again by this council. That reserve is intended to assist in years where maybe that figure that comes through this report isn't a cash surplus, but a cash deficit. In those years, we would draw on the property tax stabilization reserve to balance everything out for the year. So it is good to have some funds within there. This is where the $174,000 was placed as part of the year-end audit process. The appendix to the report breaks down by each of the divisions how everyone fared throughout the year. As you can see, everybody stayed fairly in line with budget estimates, slightly over, slightly under in areas. If you needed explanations for any of them, the department heads or myself are here to provide those at any time, but we do, as you'll see in the next report coming up, do that on a quarterly basis, keep council and the community aware of where things are department by department. So essentially this report's there for your information and any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments from council? Councillor Ottens?
No.
Oh, no. Sorry, I saw your light on.
Oh,
That's my
sorry.
bad. Woodham?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Pro Temp Martin. Just a comment. I just wanted to say thank you to the Finance Department and anyone that had their hands in this report. It helps to really clearly identify what is the actual. And I think it is something I look forward to having it on a yearly basis. It will, I think, really help all council and the public understand. You know, to me, this shows that between the Finance Department and the council, did a great budget because we were very close.
Through you, Mayor Pro Temp Martin, I'd just add, and thank you for those comments. I just want to add on to it that council and finance might have put together a good budget that was fairly accurate, but without departments working and aligning to the budgets before them and working within those budgets, we wouldn't be this close to almost bang on. So kudos to all the departments for your work throughout the year to get to this point as well.
Thank you. Anything from you on this? Perfect. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor? That's carried. Another finance report, moved by Councillor Woodham, seconded by Councillor Ottens. The council received finance report 2026-17 regarding the Q1 operating capital program updates for information.
Thank you.
Skylar?
Through you, Mayor Pro Temp Martin. The first quarter of the fiscal year 2026 ended on March 31st, 2026, and staff have prepared a report on departmental activities and performance by functional area versus the budget. So starting with the operating program, the Q1 report attached compares the departmental results versus the budget, and as shown in the report, the year-to-date surplus as of March 31st, 26 is approximately $115,000. Just want to note that the figures presented are unaudited, and there are some expenditures related to quarter one that might not have been captured due to the timing of the receipt of invoices. Noting as well that the property tax revenues for Q1 have been recognized, which represent a quarter of the annual tax levy revenues. We note that the timing is a driving factor for the operating budget, as some grant funding is not yet received, as well some expenditures are incurred up front. So this can create a disparity between the revenues and expenditures. However, it balances out over time. And as such, the operating program is expected to be within the budget by the end of 2026. We do have staff available this evening to answer any questions that council may have with respect to the capital and operating programs. But first, I'll just hand over to Mr. Kelly to discuss the capital program report.
Sure. Thank you, Kim. Through you, Mayor Pro Temp Martin. Yeah, the capital program update, not a significant amount of activity towards capital projects occurs in Q1, as generally our public works team is focused on weather-related events out there through January to March. But you can see some expenditures were incurred throughout the first quarter of the year. The majority of them do generally come in the final 3 quarters of the year. The capital distribution chart that we put in there kind of shows you and the community where funds are distributed within our capital program. So right now there's around $11.6 million available to be spent that's been approved by council within the program. Spread over all of those areas, I will note just over, I calculated it for his benefit, but just over 97% of the funds within that program are under the care and control of Jamie Morgan, who looks after our Public Works program and beyond. So a lot of work ahead of him and his entire team over the remainder of the year to use up those funds, but we already have seen through some of the early tender results that have come in, which is a great benefit to Mapleton, getting out to market early. We are going to see some savings within the capital program again this year. So stay tuned in Q2, Q3, and for the year-end report to see how it proceeds. The other piece, just to add, a part of our improvements to and enhancements to the township's website and web presence, we have added a page on there. I think I mentioned it last year, but we'll start to use social media to drive people to the page. That just gives a status update on our current capital projects. Right now, it's existing as we left it at the end of last year, but now that this report's been put together, we're going to update that page with the status of current projects. I think it's good for the community to see where $11.6 million are being spent right now. And then on top of that, also a current projects page for Northern Maple Utilities for the big work that's going on there. So with that, I'll hand it back to you for any questions.
Thank you both for those updates. Somehow Morgan's name always comes up around capital budget conversations. Any comments, questions from council on this? Clearly just a snapshot, like you pointed out, but sometimes still very useful for a sit rep on where we are in the year, so thank you for that. If there's no other further questions, all those in favor of this report? That's carried. Next one is another finance as well. Moved by Councillor Otten, seconded by Councillor Woodham. The council received for information Finance Report 2026-21 regarding final tax rates for 2026, and further that the 2026 final tax levy bylaw be considered for approval.
Thank you one more time. Yeah, pretty standard housekeeping report, the tax levy report and bylaw. A couple key points within it, obviously, in the financials section, just noting the final tax levy allows us to collect over $30 million in taxes, but the distribution of those taxes are spread for Mapleton purposes, County Wellington, and the school boards, which is shown on the chart within the report. And then as just an extra piece, I did some rough calculations, not rough, they're actually accurate, on the impact of the property taxes adjustment. We had talked at budget time about the average residential assessment of $363,000 and what the impact would be with these rates and everything on the average property. It's $197 in additional taxes, but $57 of those are to Mapleton specifically. So it's actually slightly below what we had projected and forecasted in the budget. And that's just based on the closed roll and new assessment that comes in various categories can shake that out. And then the last piece, just to touch on the website one more time, and again, we've talked about it before, and you've seen it before, the amount of work that went into flipping that website over, and Amy's team is responsible for the look and feel of it, but we did add a page in there that people might not know about. It's on our taxes webpage. There's a property tax calculator on there now, so you literally, if you know the assessment of your property, which likely hasn't changed because MPAC's not out doing the reassessments unless you've done something significant to your home, you'll be able, right now you can go in and see what your taxes were in 2025, 2024, and 2023. Once this levying bylaw is passed, we'll upload these rates into there, and people will actually be able to see what their property taxes are going to be on their final tax bill before the bill's even out. So it's good for understanding and for financial planning, but also that tool shows people where those tax dollars are going between township, county, and school boards, but then also for the township portion where the funds are being spent. And again, that chart will show that the majority of it is spent on Jamie Morgan and all of his work, but you do get to see the distribution across all the surface areas. So spoke with CAO Barron and Amy Gross, and we're going to make sure we get that pushed out there to the public so they see it and use that tool, because I think it's a valuable one.
Thank you for that. Any comments or questions from council on this report? All right, all those in favor? That's carried. All right, moving on to the planning department. We have, where am I here? Motion moved by Counselor Otten, seconded by Counselor Woodham. The council received report PL 2026-04 regarding part lot control exemption application PLC 2026-1, and considers passing a bylaw in open session to allow the creation of 8 separate lots. And further, the council authorizes the planning and development manager to complete and submit the corresponding application package to the County of Wellington for final approval. Mrs. McCabe, I see you online.
Yes, thank you. I see you as well, Acting Mayor Martin. I'm not sure if we can hear me, though.
Yep, we can hear you well. Go
Okay,
ahead.
great, thank you. So this is a part lot control application. We have 6 blocks, of which 2 are before you tonight. The block number 4 has 5 units already in progress, and there is a small photo provided to us by the owner. Block 6 has yet to be developed, but that will become 3 separate lots should council approve the bylaw tonight. And this is all coming forward to you as the blocks are being sold and developed to finish off the last phase of the Glen Aveland subdivision plan.
Okay, thank you for that. Any comments or questions from council on this report? Okay, seeing nothing, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, everyone.
Catching up. All right, moving on to bylaws. Did I do them separately? Okay. First bylaw is moved by Councillor Reed, seconded by Councillor Woodham, that bylaw 2026-25 being a bylaw to provide for procurement of goods and services and the disposal of surplus goods be hereby read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 12th day of May 2026. Comments, questions? All those in favor? And that's carried. Second bylaw, moved by Councillor Otten, seconded by Councillor Reed. The bylaw number 2026-26 being a bylaw to adopt and set the tax rates for 2026 be hereby read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 12th day of May 2026. Comments, questions? All those in favor? Carried. And the last one is the one we just talked about. It's moved by Councillor Reed, seconded by Councillor Woodham, that the bylaw 2026-27 being a bylaw to remove part lot control from Block 4, Plan 61M-267, Reed Hill Drive, Drayton, Township of Mapleton, be hereby read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 12th day of May 2026. Questions? All those in favor? That's carried. Moving on to correspondence for council's information. Anyone looking to flag or comment on any one of those 12 items? It's a light week. Larry? Go ahead, Councilor Ottens.
Yes, thank you, through you, Mayor Pro Tem. The first one from the Horticultural Society, just draw attention to the ribbon cutting at the park gates. It was a joint project between the Horticultural Society and the township to replace the old crumbling gates. And the Historical Society is hoping to have a photo board installed on the side of the concession building that will show the original gates from 1931, the original park entrance, and kind of arrange to have that installed by the time this happens, so you can see the new replacing the old, which replaced the original. So it's a kind of an interesting little trip through time there. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
I see that Morgan got his own personal invite alongside the mayor on this invitation too, so that's nice. Hopefully you're free on Tuesday. I haven't talked to the mayor, but I assume we'll have somebody in attendance. We'll figure that out when we get closer, but,
I'm sure I'll be there.
yep, okay. Anyone else for items there? All right, moving on then to, actually, is there any other, any notices of motion tonight? No? There is a couple in other business. First one is mine. Huh, okay. 14.1, food booths at the Ball Diamonds in Drayton and Moorfield. Is there a motion on this, or? Okay. So the recommendation, or the motion, I guess, on the table is that the Township of Mapleton Council direct staff to explore opportunities to have the food booths open at the Ball Diamonds in Moorfield and Drayton. Any questions or comments from council on that?
Through you, I'm just wondering, did we have, just because we've seen these run in the past and then they kind of filter off or they don't run the whole season, did we have a group approach us to start this process again?
Thank you. It's a good question. I probably should have led with that. So the premise behind this notice of motion was I was approached by someone in Moorfield who was interested in specifically running the booth at the Diamond in Moorfield. And so when I reached out to staff, they're willing to consider it. They just thought that the proper way to address this would become through a notice of motion. So that's why it's here. I don't know that have we ever deliberately discontinued the food booths at either? I know we had issues having people interested, so maybe those spaces kind of took on a life of their own. Amy, do you have any comments around what those food booths have been doing maybe the last couple of years?
Sure, through you, Mayor Pro Tem Martin. The last couple of years, the soccer did actually run, not last season, the season before, the booth out of the Drayton area. The one in Moorfield, truly, we've been utilizing it when we offer bar services down there in that area for tournaments, which happens a few times a season. And also, we do try and keep the kids out of the hall as much as possible. So right now, there's a lot of summer camp materials in there, but we're happy to share that space and make it work to see it as a booth again. But yeah, it typically just died out. There wasn't a whole lot of interest. Every once in a while, we'd have someone ask, but nothing truly came to fruition from that. So we would be looking at finding a way to getting it out there and seeing who's interested for sure.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I literally had someone show up at the door and be like, hey, so-and-so wants to do the food. But so he connected us and we chatted, and it seems like there's interest at least, if it would be an option. Who knows if it will actually turn into something or not, but
Yeah.
that was really the background behind it, to be honest. So
Good.
I could name the guy, but it's probably not fair until we go through this whole thing. Amy?
Thank you. It would be great to see it up and running again. I would like to just mention the amount of kids that are now playing ball in Mapleton has skyrocketed. It's incredible. Both soccer and minor ball have had a huge uptake. I know minor ball was really struggling before COVID. I hate saying the word COVID, but the comeback of ball since then has been incredible, so it would be great. It is extremely busy down there through the week, almost every night, so it would be great.
Any other questions on that motion? All those in favor of that recommendation? Okay, that's carried. The next one is Councillor Reid. Do you want to do me the honors?
Thank you. Through you, Pro Tem Mayor, I have I'm asking council support in putting my name forward for the AMO Board of Elections, which takes place in August 2026, and would run for the 2-year term of 26 to 28. With sitting on the Board of Directors, I'd be responsible for helping set strategic objectives, annual budgets, corporate policies and procedures, and approving AMO's policies and program initiatives. And it also allows us a seat at the board when it comes to the Roma Rule Ontario as well. So I'm just looking for support in order to have a resolution accompany my nomination.
Perfect, thank you for that. Any comments from? Psyching me out, yes, no, maybe so. I think it's wonderful. I know this stuff has interested you before, and to have Mapleton presence on any of these boards would be absolutely amazing, so it would probably be best to have a resolution for you to take along, is that right? Did I miss it? Yeah, you did. Here it is, I promise. These were the two I was missing. Rookie up here, Larry, sorry. Moved by Councillor Woodham, seconded by Councillor Ottens. Be it resolved that the Township of Mapleton Council nominate Councillor Amanda Reid for the position of Rural Caucus Director on the AMO Board of Directors for the 2026-2028 term. All those in favor? That's carried. Any other business that anyone has to discuss tonight? Councillor Woodham?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Pro Temp. Just following up, last meeting, we had a delegation from Peyton Douglas requesting some funds, and I thought perhaps we should follow up and at least communicate back what our decision is.
Yes, thank you. Sometimes our procedures can be a little awkward by just receiving it for information. I know we've had that before with members who have delegated, so my assumption, based on the lack of a motion that came at last meeting, is that we won't be supporting Peyton's request for funds for the Canadian Cancer Society, unless someone is putting a motion forward to the contrary, but I would suggest that, we can support in other ways personally as well, like we've done in the past. Marlene and Amanda somebody did the coldest night of the year recently as well. So potentially that's an option that folks could support Peyton individually or her team as well, if you're interested. Who is best suited to provide Peyton with the response? Does that come from the clerk? Is that something you could look after? Okay. Unless I misspoke on council's intentions on that, but that was kind of it'd just be nice for Peyton to have a response back, so that's good. Okay. Anyone else have anything else under other business? Go.
Really quick, because it'll bug me the whole night, and I know that the Wellington Advertiser and Robin will listen to everything that's said during the meeting, so I just want to correct something I said earlier on the tax rates and the impact. I misspoke on the total impact to a property owner So the total impact to a property owner, county, school boards, and the township is going to be $151 approximately. I think I said 197, so I didn't want to inflate that number. And I know that Robin will write that down, so wanted to get it on the record.
$151 total, right? Not $151 township.
That's correct. It'll be approximately 151 total tax increase on the average property and approximately $57 township purposes.
Copy that, thank you. I know there's a Sabres game on tonight, too. So that brings us to the confirmatory bylaw. Moved by Councillor Reed, seconded by Councillor Woodham, that bylaw 2026-28, being a bylaw to confirm all actions and proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Mapleton, be hereby read at first, second, and third times, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed with a corporate seal. All those in favor? And that is carried. Meeting is